Hi, good morning, everyone. Rob Lukey with Shop Prop Realty and our Capital Group. I wanted to take a second to go over the case Shiller and a couple of these other charts that I want to go through and talk about a little bit about what anticipating what we're looking at as far as the housing market goes. First, I'll talk to you about our Capital Group. As most of you know, our Capital Group, we buy and sell properties, and we look to rehab them, sell them, and we do it for ourselves as well as for our clients. We haven't bought that many properties this year just because a lot of people, you can always look at our past performance, a lot of people are buying on the come. They're betting for a continued appreciation in housing prices. Even though I believe that, and I'm buying based on that, some of them are looking for 10 and 15%. And I don't think that that's probably realistic. Show why, and we can talk kind of about what at least what I'm positioning for over the next little bit of time for what it's worth. With Shop Prop, thanks to you, everybody that's interested in changing the way that people currently buy and sell properties by putting more money back in your pockets. We put almost $3.6 million in our clients' pockets. If you look at right here, almost $3.6 million, and that's growing every single day. And it's simply a function of us, people doing the initial legwork themselves and going out, finding properties they're interested in, and letting us be the transaction people in the process, help negotiate and finish off that transaction. We returned back this year. Our biggest rebate this year was almost $60,000 to one client. Obviously, that's a significant amount of money, and $3.6 million is a significant amount of money. So, getting back to a couple of different look, at least at the case Shiller, and we can talk a little bit about this. Case Shiller showing about 4% increase year over year across the board in the 20 city composites. This is the 20 in the 10 city composites. You can see both are showing about the same, which is about a 4% year over year return. Remember when we were up around over the 12% range, which is what we saw in basically 2012, a little bit into 2013, that was really not really a sustainable amount of return. 13%, 4% is more realistic. And a matter of fact, if you look back historically over the last several decades, what you'll notice is that you really see basically 1% over inflation is the typical rate of return over the long period of time, which you obviously you have to compare that to if I'm getting a loan. Obviously that includes loan, so there's an increase. It's still a great investment overall, real estate, as we know. So taking a look at the case Shiller year over year, as most of you know, this is the most widely used index for tracking home prices in the United States. You can see we're about 4%. What I think is going to happen, and this is obviously where we were pushing up into the September 13, this whole period of time, we were seeing that increase. We're really bouncing off that bottom, this recovery here that we were talking about. I still think that we're going to break through the 2006 highs in home prices. I don't necessarily think we're going to get back to where we're increasing, where we saw 16% year over year rates of return. But I think that we can creep over and get through home prices, which are here, which peaked out, depending where you are, in Los Angeles area right around 2006, and in the Seattle area right around early 2007, late 2006. I do think that we're going to get through this range, and I think actually that we'll see the Dow pushed over 20,000, and that also the market pushed through their highs that they set back in 2007. I think at that point that we're probably going to see some type of retracement, but I think that'll probably occur doing about 4 to 5% per year. And that's what we're seeing right now. Year over year, we're seeing about 4%. Really, even if you look at Seattle at 7.5, that's still higher than historically. Also, if you look at Los Angeles, same thing. It's higher, 6.1% higher than historical averages, even though those are still performing better than the overall average that's going on in the housing market. If you look at this, here's how the cities did. And again, just to let you know, when you look at the recoveries, we're still off there are highs in most indexes, right? Here, where we currently do business, which is in Los Angeles, San Jose, uh, San Diego, King County, Orange County, and San Francisco, you'll see that we're still, for example, San Francisco, that has had the biggest return where we currently do business. They're only off 3.7% from the peak. Excuse me. Uh, yeah, sorry. San Francisco is 3.7%. San Diego 6.2% from the peak. Los Angeles County is 15%, and Los Angeles, as you know, also includes Orange County, and then the Seattle area is still 7.4% off from its peak level. So if you look at that recovery, that we should be, if we're going off of a 4 or 5% rate of return, then what that means is that over the next year and a half to 2 years in Seattle, we should see break through those highs. In Los Angeles area, San Diego, San Francisco, we should break through those highs next year. San Diego in Los Angeles area probably will be the laggards, and they have been so far too. They're lagging behind those the stronger markets, which is San Francisco and Seattle. Regarding a couple other charts that I wanted to show you is that this is employment growth over the last year, but I wanted to mention this in relationship to there's unemployment rate and then there's employment growth. So we obviously have two different things, and there is no correlation. What's interesting about this chart is that there is no correlation when it comes to housing prices to the unemployment rate. Interestingly enough, we're not seeing a correlation, and this was put out by the case Shiller as well. The correlation that we do see is employment growth. As employment growth increases, we see home prices increase in those areas. You can see Denver, San Francisco, Dallas, Seattle, Miami, any place that you get, and the other places where you're not seeing home growth. Take a look at Cleveland, Washington, D.C., Boston. So as you see the home employment growth in those areas, you see obviously the home prices increase. So what does that tell us? We want to buy obviously where there's good employment growth. But here's the unemployment rate in those areas, if you look at those particular areas still, even in Seattle, where you saw Vegas and so forth, where you saw higher unemployment rates, you still, because of the growth, you saw that the price increases still do fairly well at almost 6%. Anyhow, overall, everything's still looking good. Like I said, I anticipate us to get through those highs before we see any type of major retracement. That's my thought, and I'm sticking to it. Have a great day.